Okay, this is a quick one. I had a few questions regarding, when you sell or buy or sell a option. Okay, let's just have a look at the option portfolio. Say, for instance, I wanted to sell, I won't do the big ones, I'll do a small one here that's sitting here somewhere. Let's say FISV, and I wanted to sell that. I'm going to hit sell. And I think its value was, let me see, let's say 4.00 or 410, $10 for the commission. I'll go back again. Sell 410. Submit. And then it's going to come up with that, and you hit that. Then it'll say, okay, you want to sell it at 400 US. I put the 410 because it takes out $10 commission, so you get the 400. Now I transmit that. Obviously, we're not at market live, so okay, right, okay, we've got that little notice. Yes, okay, we've got all sorts of little notices that flick up. Now, here it is sitting here. Now, just pretend that I'm 1 minute before 11:30 at night. This is sitting in here in the sale box. So it's gone from the request off the options chain. We've gone buy. That's gone into the portfolio. Has it? Yes. Yes, it has. No, we've gone buy here. It's brought up the buy, and then it'll go up to here into where you're actually buying it. Or in this case, I'm selling it, right? S or B. You see B up there, sell, so I've sold it instead of buying it. Now, at 11:30 at night, as soon as the bell rings in New York, this all goes live. And then what I've got to do, if I've sent you an options trade, as soon as that bell goes off in New York, this all becomes live, and this may not be the sale price, or it may not be the buy price. So as soon as it starts, I open this up like this. So I just click on that, boom. And I've got it at 410 to sell at 410, but it might have dropped down to 405, or it might have dropped down to 4, it might drop down to 4, right? And you're looking at, usually you're looking at the option chain here, where this is all lit up, and you will see the prices going up and down, because electronically and physically, it's like a big auction with billions of data points going on in the New York Stock Exchange. So all this is then live. Now, I've already written down what the purchase price is, or the sale price, and then I've got to be a bit flexible about it, because I may not get $400 back. I may get $3.99. So I put $3.99 and then I update it. And then if it doesn't sell immediately, I look at it again, because it might have changed. It might have went down to $3.96. Put $3.96, update it. Look at it again. No, it's moved, and I might have to go down to $3.50. Let's say, no, let's make it $3.80. $3.90, say. Boom. $3.90, boom. We hit update, and then suddenly this will go sold there, right? So you just got to keep doing that, whether you're buying or selling, just especially when the bell goes at 11:30. So it will then, it could have a pre-market increase. So, I might think, okay, during the day or during the week or whatever, when we set the trades, these are only set, and then you've got to adjust them either up or down when the trades go live. Now, if you're not going to do anything at 11:30, well, you might miss out on a trade. Like, for instance, last night, we did another one on Google. Well, what do we do on that? Let's have a look. Well, I've got my paperwork here somewhere. Sold Google for plus, what do we do? Plus 1,000. US, which is 1,005, almost 1,600. So, if I hadn't bought Google, there's no way I could sell it. And even when I sold, like a Palantir went through the roof last night. So I sold it when it got to a value of, I think it was, I can't remember the exact value it got to, but the bottom line is I made 1,613 US, which is 2.5 or 2,293 Australian dollars. But I had to have this sitting here waiting for those prices to go up. I'd already had my paperwork sitting there looking like I've got the sales sheet in front of me. And then, like Palantir last night, it just went up to a certain point where I got 3x my money. And 3x, which was 700, I think we purchased it at, it was up to 700 Australian dollars. It was up to 2,300 Australian. 7 threes are 21. 3x was good enough for me, so bang, I sold it. Now, as I've said on the chat, it actually went to 6x by the end of the night. Now, like Kenny Rogers says, you've got to know when to hold them, you've got to know when to fold them. But the bottom line is, I still got 3x, and I'm happy with that. I could have waited, or I could have rolled it. That's a question mark. See, if I roll that particular trade, the trouble is when it's firing up in that direction, to roll it, well, you're not going to make that much money. So you're best off on the particular night, because to roll it, you'd have to either purchase one with a longer timeline. And in that case, I just couldn't be bothered doing that. I didn't want to suck up more funds to go to the next level, put it that way. So I just sold it. Now, I could have waited and made $4,000 instead of 2.5 or 2-3. Yes, I could have. But any time during that increase, like I think that's all, if you can understand that, and I'll take that away and then we'll look at Palantir here just quickly. Any time on that candle, I pulled out here at 150, right? Now, it actually went up all the way to there. There's the wick at the top, went up to 163, 164, would you believe? Now, from here to here, this is the Kenny Rogers part where you've got to know where to hold it and when you're going to know where to fold it. Because if you to wait, and it's gone to 3x, it's gone to 4x, and I would ride the lightning if it just kept going forward, but it didn't. I'll show you why. And we'll bring it up here on Yahoo Finance, BLTR. Hopefully it'll still be on there, because the day's trading, they would usually erase those around about lunchtime. But it might be there, the day loading chart. Right, okay. It's got a big flat line here, but you can see here it's gone to 160, 162 it peaked at. Our trade was, let's have a look at it again. Here, 162, back at the, bit all over the place here, I know, but back at our trade workstation, which I'll bring that back up. Oh, they've taken it off the screen. But anyway, yeah, here we go. Palantir was 135. We did the call, 135, 135, 135. Think of it, 135. So we called it, or did the contract on 135, right? So that contract was done. We called it 135 for the 21st of August. And I forget exactly when we wrote that contract, but it was about here somewhere, back a little way back. And then we hit the earnings, and the earnings went through the roof, which is a classic implied volatility. And so it started at 124. So our call was 135, remember? Here it is here. That's the line for 135 right there, that blue line. Started here, and this was last night, and then she cock-a-boom. She went up to, and just kept going, rising to here. Then it faltered. Now, at that point, you've got to make a decision. Do I know when to hold them? That you got to make the Kenny Rogers decision right there. Now, at that point it reached 3x. At that point it was 2.5 grand in my bank if I sold then. And I look at it and I go, okay, 2x, 3x, it's in the bank. So boom, I sold it and it faltered for a little while. It mucked around for a little while. I think on the, let me see if I can bring this over. One moment, please. Yes, I can bring this one over. And yes, here it is. There's Kenny Rogers et al. Now, let me bring this up. The Kenny Rogers advice there. One moment, please. One moment, please. I'm just sort of doing this as a quick education. Oh, you got it. Okay, we've got Kenny Rogers there flicked on automatically. So that's, let's see, what am I getting to? I think I did this in a sales journal. You got the sales journal, got a whole lot of things happening here. And oh, here we go. I posted this, right? Now that was 135 and it started to fall. And sometimes they just go back to zero or come back down here and go along here. I had to make the Kenny Rogers decision right there. Know when to hold them, know when to fold them. And I said, okay, 3x, I'm out. Boom, took the money off the table. But it faltered and then it started to build back up again to here, whereas actually 142, 145, 139, 142. So, that's how it happens. And that's what it looked like. So let's bring that back again. Did I do another see more? All right, so that was another version of what was happening that night. Here's where I pulled out. It went sort of down a bit. This is this other one was an earlier. This one here was an earlier version of the same thing. Bang, pre-market, boom, she went up like that, faltered downwards. And you think, okay, you're going to make that. Then I made that decision then when it was mucking around, faltering, and it wasn't going forward. I thought, okay, take the money now. That's the decision I normally make. Is it 2x, 3x? 2.5 grand, I'm taking that money. See ya. And okay, I missed out on another 2 grand where eventually went up there, but no big deal there. I can always get that another way. Now, if I decided to roll this trade, the thing is, because it's rocketing up at that night, that, for me to roll it, it'd be very difficult to roll it while it's on the rise like this. You're better off taking the money off the table and then revisiting it if it's got enough gas in the tank later. So what I mean by that is when we go to have a look at Palantir, see here, no gas in the tank. No gas in the tank. See, it's up here. And look, it may go a bit higher. It could. Who knows? Only God knows this one. Kenny Rogers doesn't know this one. Only God knows this one, right? So it's at the top. It's 67, 69 it was. I thought, nah, take the money and run, all right? Just pull the Kenny Rogers factor out, right? Now, if we're looking at Tesla last night. Now, Tesla, I actually made $500 on that rolling procedure with Tesla. Now, how did I do that? One, I had a look at the RSI. It's sitting down here. It's still got a full tank of gas. So I had the opportunity to recalibrate. I think, is that the one I sold? 370. I think, let me have a look. Tesla. Yeah, 370. I bought 370. I think it was, I don't know, 24 hours ago or something. And it just started to rise last night. So when you had a look at like just about 6 o'clock, I was just about, or 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock, I'm doing my business stuff and I thought, oh, well, I'll go to bed, and which I would normally do. And I, fortunately looked over the corner of my eye and, hey, Tesla's rising. So when you actually have a look at, we'll go and bring up Tesla. And I'll make this video short so that you get a bit of an idea. Now, what part of the equation? Yeah, this is a classic case. It was just faltering down the bottom here, and it wasn't really, it wasn't going. It was green on the screen, but it was only 10% or whatever, and then it went to 50%. And of course, that puts red flags up with me immediately. So up here at 329, I rolled it and made $500 just straight off the top. $500 in 10 seconds. Thank you very much. In the bank. Kenny Rogers principle applied. I think we'll use the Kenny Rogers principle from now on. And then what typically happened, as it did, it just then went back down to a stable point. So while I was up here, there, if I get that stupid thing out of the way, while I was there, bang, I grabbed it. Because it got to this point, started to falter, and I thought, I can make $500 out of this, and I can roll it. So what I did with Tesla, I sold the 370 18th of September. Boom. I sold that for $820, and that was plus 1,163. And it was approximately, let's see, what did I pay for it originally? It was pretty close to a 2-to-1, I think. Close to it anyhow. Then I bought the same call, 370, but I reduced the timeline, or reduced the contract time down to the 28th of August. So we've got 23 days. Before, the other one had 44 days, just over a month. Now I've got 3 weeks. But the reason why I did that is because Tesla has now started to move off the mark. Now, here we go down here. We have a look at it. We'll just bring this up. Sorry. Bring that up. Is that the truth? And I'll go through to the truth. The truth, let me explain this again. The truth candles are the normal candles. They reflect buying and selling directly, whereas what you call the Hakanachi candles, they smooth out an average from one day to the other. So the actual diagram looks a lot smoother and easier to read, as you can understand. Now, any of this sort of terminology, just Google it or look at the education I've got in the back of the website. So you can see now with the red line, blue line momentum chart scenario that Tesla, is starting to turn the curve. You see, it's starting to turn upwards. It's starting to go green on the screen. It's starting to roll out of that dip, and there's a gap here. This is actually a gap. It's starting to roll out, and then it's starting to work its way up to the point of control and the VWAPs. So when I looked at that, I went, right, RSI 36 it was. RSI 36, plenty of gas in the tank. Yes, I can roll it. Where I went back to Palantir, up here, it's done. You think of it like a SpaceX rocket. It's shot right up to here. It's going to jettison its retro rockets, and that's when the retro rocket comes back to Earth, right? So it's the Kenny Rogers moment. So, but the decision-making process that I will do regarding do I roll it or do I hold it? And the answer is have a look at the RSI. The RSI is up here at the top end. Just take the money and run. Simple as that. If the RSI was here, say for instance at 44, well, yeah, I could roll it. I could take it longer term or whatever, because there's still gas in the tank. Just look at this. The RSI is gas in the tank. If it's halfway, we've still got half gas in the tank. So the other one I was looking at, Palantir, Google. Let's have a quick look at Google if I've still got it up there. We've got Google here. One moment. That might be Goldman Sachs. Computer is being slow. I think this is Google. Now, Is that good? No, that's the oil. The oil's gone off the boil. The oil has gone off the boil. Why? Because Trump stopped the bombing in Iran. Now, for this few weeks, I suppose. So it's dropped down. So I won't get divert on that, but I'll bring up Google because that's one. I'll have to add up exactly what we've made out of Google, but it's probably 3,000 or 4,000 so far. But see, oh no, that's Intel. I'll be doing one on Intel shortly, so we won't go into that just now. I want Google. Right. Now, I've said on the chat that I was revising Google. You think about it. Do we do another trade on Google? We could squeeze a little bit out of the tank here, but it's sitting at 62. And here, when we look at this, and I'll bring this, where is that? Oh, there it is down there. We'll bring it up to where it is now. Now we see the point of control. It's gone through the point of control. Let me expand that for you. It's gone through the point of control, which is what I call it the point of control, but it's a support line. In other words, it oscillates around the support line, right? It's gone through the support line, and it's also gone through the VWAPs, or as we say, one moment, when we're talking about VWAPs, just a moment here, that come up. It's an anchored VWAP, which is the acronym for VWAP is the volume weighted average price. Volume weighted average price, right? And as opposed to the support line, which its technical term is fixed range volume profile. Anyway, as far as the terminology. So you got to look at it this way. I've projected in increments of 5 points right up to 375. We've made money. Initially, we didn't. And then we've made money ever since, rolling them all the way forward. And that's not too bad. I've actually sold that one. But you've got to make the decision now. It's sort of got up to 377. You have a look at the forecast. It's still on a strong buy. But the question is, the real question is the RSI. It might be on a strong buy. It might break through. I don't know. But I'm always very cautious when a trade, you might squeeze a little bit more out of Google. It probably can because it's $4 trillion company. Might make one. I'll look at it later on today. But it's getting to the point where it's going to start to pull back. It'll start to pull back like it's done here and oscillated on the support line, right? Without getting too technical about it. So, rule of thumb, do I take the money? If it's up at the top of the RSI, definitely you take the money. If it's midway on the RSI, yes, you take the money, and especially if it's a 2-to-1 or 3-to-1 on your investment. And then if it's halfway, you can roll it. All right, I hope that's relatively clear. Anyway, I just thought I'd do the main purpose of this quick video was to, let me bring the what's the name, trade workstation up again. The main thing of this video was to explain to you when you put a sale through, when you buy an option and it goes through the sales activity box, when it goes live, this will not buy unless it matches with the bidding and selling right at 11:30. So you may have to adjust this a little bit. That's the point I'm getting. You may have to adjust it up. You may have to adjust it down. So give yourself a little bit of flexibility, maybe, whatever money you've got in your account that, okay, I might put out a price based on when we've done the analysis, but you've got to do some adjustments. It's like when I was in the airlines. the captain, like I was a load controller on Trans-Australian Airlines, right? So the captain would come through. We would do all the balance sheets for the aircraft. So in the RAF, they call us load masters. So we distributed, the load on the aircraft and all the rest of it. And we would, those days we used to do it physically. We'd draw a big map. We'd have these big maps we'd do, and we'd put passengers in one zone. A, B, C were the zones. We were operating in DC-9s. And the captain would come in and he'd tell you the fuel figures. And you'd go, okay, fuel figures, you write the fuel, yes, captain, write fuel figures down. Then you do the distribution. And basically it was like a big graph, including the fuel figures, that you balanced the aircraft so that when they took off, they were at the right angles with the the flap angles and all this on takeoff. So most aircraft, well, the DC-9s and most aircraft balance through the wings. So the fuel is in the wings, right? So that's a balance point is there. So I don't know what story I was getting to there, but the balance point, I think what I was meaning was the balance point. You've got to get in that envelope. On the load control sheet, there was like it looked like a diamond at the bottom of the graph, and we would sort of draw lines everywhere, and we'd have to get within that diamond, within that range, within that scope. Otherwise, it's unacceptable. Otherwise, the aircraft was out of balance. So in a certain respect, I suppose I'm using that illustration to tell you about one with the RSI, that's like the fuel figures. If the RSI is halfway, you can roll it. If the RSI is at the top in the 70s, 60s, 70s, forget it, just sell it. And with the RSI is in the 30s, well, that's when you buy. That's the initial buy, right? And then going on to when you're buying and selling on the trade workstation, it will vary. And if you've got, I might have 390 sitting here and for the sale, and the sale's actually 395. And if you just forgot about that and you left it there, it's going to sit there. And next minute you find out, oh, why didn't I get $400 in my account? Of course, the live trade went to 395 for sale. You set it at 400 originally or whatever. So my advice to everyone, especially when you've got trades in the buy box or the sell box, that you keep an eye on them at 11:30 at night. Just for the initial 30 seconds. Within a minute, you can buy and sell them at the accurate price. So you've got to remember that in this stock market, you've got literally millions, if not at least millions of people buying and selling as soon as that bell goes. It's traumatic in the New York Stock Exchange, right? So, and electronically, they've got algorithms doing this as well. So, you really got to have your finger on the pulse. So I hope that answers the question. At the end of the day, you just simply, if I want to change that to 386, it goes like that, and I update it. And if it doesn't sell, I bring this back up. Crikey, 386 didn't work. 382, boom, update it, 382. That's how it works. All right, now it's sort of gone, I've done too much too quick on it. So hope that helps. And that's the end of this video. But any sort of questions you like, I'll do quick videos up. I've got a whole stack of videos in the education, but I like to do them specifically to a question on a particular point. All right, hope that helps everyone. Any other questions, let me know, and we'll whack another video up for you. Thank you very much. And we're doing very well this week. And the reason why we're doing well is that the accuracy I'm getting with using Grok is unreal. Unreal. I can actually investigate a particular trade to the nth degree, and Grok will search the whole internet and come up with the statistics. Like I'll ask Grok, for instance, what is the probabilities of a particular trade that we've got on a week, on the end of the month, 6 months, 3 months, or whatever. And I ask it to give me a report. So each trade, I'm doing these mini reports and just rechecking and recalibrating and basically doing checks. I'm doing confirmations and checks into why we're doing what we're doing. It's just a double confirmation. Like, for instance, I'll give you an example before I finish off. NVIDIA. Now, NVIDIA, is that NVIDIA? Yes, it is. So we've got, yeah. Now, with NVIDIA, did I buy one already? Probably last night, I think I did. NVIDIA. We do that much in one night. Anyway, we bought an earnings trade. I've got it right here. So we bought the earnings trade. Could be here somewhere. Where are you, NVIDIA? Come out, wherever you are. Here it is. There we go. You got to have your sheets in front of you when you're doing trading, I'm telling you. So I bought the earnings trade and it was a little bit expensive. I mean, it was at the initial stages, it was 720 US, which was 1,000 Australian. And I thought, okay, I might pay a little bit more for that. But NVIDIA started to move last night. And just as I sold Palantir and got the 2.5 grand or what it was, 2,300, I immediately had NVIDIA sitting there ready to be sold. But what I did, I actually had it at, when I do that, I had it at a lower price than what I put on the on the chat. So it's sitting in the tray. It won't sell because the price is too low, but that's okay because then I can click on it and do it live, right? So just think about that. When I put a sale, preempt a sale, like I think, okay, I could sell NVIDIA tonight if it goes. I then put the price down low so it won't automatically sell. I won't put it high. Or if I'm looking at a buy price, I will put the buy price very low, so it won't automatically buy, so that I can control it and basically read the play at the bell. Now, in NVIDIA's case, it started to move. It hadn't moved for a while, but see this candle here, she started to move. So I had to move quick with buying it, and so it went from 720 US to 1,167 US. So I wound up paying 1,600 Australian dollars. So I paid $600 more for NVIDIA last night, but I made 2,300 or whatever it was on selling Palantir. So, I mean, I wasn't pulling money out of my savings account, right? So this one's an earnings trade. I expect NVIDIA to, again, shoot with a fairly big candle. But in the situation here where NVIDIA's actually pushed above its support line, as you can see here, that's its support line running forward. And I thought, normally we've got them moving towards the support line, but in this case, it's moved above the support line. And I had to think about that a bit. And you know what I did? I grokked it. And I put in the VWAPs and the point of control and everything. I put those values into the system and I asked Grok, okay, what is the probability of NVIDIA increasing in value over the next, towards the end of this month, I think, whatever the date is there, 26th of August, 3 weeks' time, short term. And then I asked it to do a little mini report for me. And it immediately said that the point of control is irrelevant to me short term. It's a long-term analysis. So I thought, well, there you go. I had to think about that because most times the point of control is above where we're heading. And I thought, well, yeah, this is different. It's sort of below where we're heading. It may get pulled back down. But Grok answered that and said in this case, in the short range, the point of control was irrelevant because it's too short a range. There's some things that Grok, and that's why when I'm doing the ads and all this sort of stuff, I've got that robot with me called Grok. I've found that it's just strapped a super brain on the back of my head. and it makes me do stuff so much easier and with less time to do it. You've got to feed in the right information, but it gives you such accurate responses. It's just unreal. So in saying that, Nvidia is sitting at 56, which is sort of, that's 3/4 of a tank is gone. So I am relying on, the stuff I've done through Grok, the obviously the thing, the filtering I've done through Trade Canary and everything else. I'm relying on this earnings report turning into a implied volatility and not go down but go up. Now, there's always a 50-50 chance it'll go down, but that's okay too, because then I'll buy another, put another trade out on a video at the bottom of the cycle. But my feeling is, based on the analysis so far, that Nvidia is going to have, and according to Grok and the other reports I've got here, it will have a very positive revenue report. It'll have a very positive revenue report. And that being said, that will continue the momentum upwards. So it might peak up around here somewhere at 230. So we're 3 weeks out from the earnings trade. I've got that trade sitting at 215. So its peaks up here before, there's 235, 228, 225, 220. I've got it at 215. So the probability of Nvidia hitting through 215 on a earnings trade call on the 26th of August is very high. It'd be like a 90% probability. And that's some of the analysis I'm doing in the background. I hope that helps. And I just hope this, this sharpening these analysis processes that I'm doing now, I'll tell you what, it's a ticket to right money. And it's a ticket to right money for all of us, actually. And I'm just, if you have a look at the, I posted an Excel spreadsheet with targets to make 250,000 a year. That's what we're aiming at. We're aiming at turning over 3,000 to 5,000 a week. Now, I can sort of say that now because 2 or 3 years, almost going on to 4 years later, I believe that we've got the targeted analysis to be able to do that now, especially with Grok. It's unbelievable for me. Trade Canary was great, and it still is, and I mean that's the baseline. But I'm fine-tuning all this by putting it through Grok. So I advise all members to log on to Grok and just, not the normal internet won't do this. Just subscribe to what they call Super Grok. Don't have to go to the real expensive one. I think it's about $26 a month or something. And what you can do on that, you will be totally out gobsmacked. Okay, that's Graham Healy over and out. Hope that helps. And I'll post this video very shortly.